what other kinds of things should we talk about?
Well, what haven't you talked about?
I think I've talked on my own interview about a lot of stuff, but I didn't talk about much about grandchildren. I can remember the excitement. I think we were in Lithuania when
Jerry was pregnant with Dylan?
mm-hmm. And I remember the excitement of having a grandchild was as vivid and wonderful for me as having children.
Was it?
Yeah, it was really just an exciting thing, and I can really remember your telling me about Rees.
Yeah.
But when for the kids for my children to, the one of the things I say on my interview is how I'm so grateful that my kids are all such wonderful parents. I talk about what a good surrogate parent Jenny and Paul are to a number of people, and to your children and the other cousins, and just how you each are. It is such a gift to me that you all have taken so seriously being good, loving, responsible parents, and have produced wonderful, wonderful grandchildren.
We all feel like we had really good role models. We all knew what we wanted to carry with us from our childhoods.
Well, you've done it, and you've done it also. You all love work. You're all such good workers of whatever you do, and you've all tried to make your homes places of warmth and comfort and beauty and nurturing.
Something I think that you and Mom gave us is that the ability to do what we wanted, to be artists or academics or whatever. I mean, Bobby's gift in architecture was clear so young and so early. Anything that we wanted to do, because in our neighborhood, people were lawyers or lawyers, and they made more money than we did, and you and Mom were so clearly who you wanted to be, doing what you wanted to do, and that was respected and admired too. And as long as we were happy, you said.
Yeah, I wanted all of you to do what made you happy. My father was disappointed that I wanted to be a teacher, because he, coming from his generation, he wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw so many of my students who were unhappy because they were doing what their parents wanted them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt life is so short. And I saw all of your mother's brothers-in-law
Mm-hmm.
who were working for aerospace, and they couldn't wait until they retired and could get out of that. And I loved what I did, and your mother loved what she did. And we just wanted you all to do that. And I can remember very clearly when you were in junior high school, taking you to Santa Monica City College to an audition
for the Fantastics.
For the Fantastics, and I can remember this little girl getting up there on the stage, and I'm just kind of startled. Here's my little girl up there just belting out music and being so present, and I thought, well, that's who she is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it really, for me, for all of you to be able to follow your bliss, I just, and I couldn't be more proud of you or happier with your choices. And even though some of you don't have the financial resources that other people do, you have rich, meaningful lives in which you are making a really important contribution to other people's lives. And I talked a little bit in an early episode about the idea of passing it on, of wanting to take what you learn and share it with other people, and make a difference in other people's lives. Last thing I'm going to record for this is what I've learned. And one of the things that I've learned is that that's something we all can do. We can leave the world better than we found it. We can leave ourselves better than we began, and we can make a difference in people's lives. And I see how each of you children do that. I see the difference you make in your own children's lives, which can then will go on for generations to produce that kind of fruit. But I also see you making the difference in the lives of your students or your clients or your associates, your friends, whatever. And I think that to me is extremely gratifying, but also just makes me really proud and happy that my children are good citizens, that they want to have a more responsible government. They want to have a more responsible community. They want to, one of the things we did, and I got this from my father. I remember my father finding a family of 7 living in a car, and he brought them home and found a place for them to live, and lived with us for a while and fed them, and my father would have picked up any stray dog or helped anybody in need. And so your mother and I, as you know, people, Mary come to live with us, and Royal, and different people in our home. And I that's part
Salvadoran gynecologists.
and all of their cousins, as I mentioned.
We're not picky.
It's very gratifying to see your children's ethics reflecting your own ethics, and they're wanting to live morally responsible lives.
Well, that was really forged in the cauldron of the kitchen table, all those discussions that we'd have. We'd talk after dinner, during dinner. I was always interested. I wish that I had known what Grandma and Granddad Stanfield's politics were. What do you think your father's politics were? Dad
was Democrat.
Yeah. Union man?
He was a union man, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ruth's parents were as well.
She told me that it would have been hard for Granddad Stanfield to resist Truman.
Yeah.
Little guy with big ideas.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever talk politics with him?
With Dad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
What would he say?
He was obviously, Roosevelt was, because he pulled us out of that terrible economic downturn. So for a lot of people, he was the man.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Dad would have been skeptical of politicians in general because they're not trustworthy and all of that. He wouldn't have suffered fools gladly, and there are a lot of fools in politics, but he was clearly a union man.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably wouldn't have been, certainly not as liberal or progressive as I am. And I think that he would have been probably more influenced by his culture in ways that would have, made him different from me. His racism, I think he began to shed that and shed his homophobia, but I think he was uncomfortable with how different I was in that regard.
What was your relationship with Ona once you maybe became a teenager or went to college?
It was very distant. Basically, I would hear from her. She would write letters once in a while. I saw her when I went on my mission. We went by train from Salt Lake to Denver and had a 10-hour layover, and she was living with an ex-convict at the time, and I remember going to see her. I was kind of embarrassed because I had a couple of my missionary companions with me, including Jim, and I was embarrassed that my mother was living with this guy. I went to see her and spent a couple hours with her.
Hmm.
But she would come occasionally when I lived in Wickenburg. She made a couple of visits. I might have seen her on, I think, our only trip to Colorado. But essentially, I didn't know her. I didn't see her. And then when she moved to Havasu, we went out a couple of times.
So she came for your
Graduation.
graduate school graduation, college
Yeah.
graduation, both?
Graduate school graduation.
What was that like if you hadn't really had any kind of relationship with her?
We'll talk about it on the next tape.
Okay.